these are all fantastic buy and holds. I think you can't go wrong with this sector, this niche. Ultimately, whatever we use in the future will be built on top of one of these chains. And that's important.
I am George. You are George. We are all George. And today we are joined by the man, the legend, George of CryptosRUs, back again to go through the altcoin market, give us his updated thoughts on VeChain, Kadena, DeFi Kingdom, Luna, Solana, Cardano, all of our favorites. We'll see if he likes them. We'll see if he hates them. George, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. How are you guys?
Doing excellent. Excellent, man.
Good.
How are you feeling about altcoins these days?
Very positive. So many have recovered very nicely, and some have even formed new highs. And so it's looking good.
Yeah. Is there, I have some specific altcoins, but I guess, is there any kind of like sector of the altcoin market that really, you're interested in at this point in time? We got the play to earn, we got the DApp platforms, the ETH layer 2s, the XRPs, the VeChains. What are you liking these days?
I put XRP right at the top of my list. I'm just joking. I think the L1s, you can't go with the L1s, network protocols. They're the foundations, the foundation for the future dApps. So you have like some Ethereum and Solana and Terra, Avalanche, Cardano jumping in the game, VeChain, Phantom, Cosmos. These are all fantastic buy and holds. They're worth billions of dollars, first of all, because you have a lot of people that believe in these projects and they're holding on to their coins. Most of them have a ton of liquidity locked into DeFi already, right? And they're still expanding. They're building out bridges to connect to each other. They're still onboarding new promising projects, including metaverses and games and other things. So I think you can't go wrong with this sector, this niche, because ultimately whatever we use in the future will be built on top of one of these chains. And that's important.
Is Solana the primo ETH alternative? Because Coinbase's hot wallet integrated with Solana, OpenSea announced that they're going to have Solana NFTs.
I used to think that. I used to think back in 2021, I used to think that Solana was a real contender to a real ETH killer contender. And because it does have a lot of things going on, their NFT marketplace, their NFT overall volume is second to Ethereum now. So they're growing by a lot, and being added on OpenSea is going to help them tremendously with that. And they have a very fast chain, very, very fast chain. They don't need any scaling solution, and they're well backed. But here's the thing. They've been having a lot of network outages, way more than any chain should. Now, some is due to like spam attacks, some due to some kind of like DDoS attack or whatever. But they went through a period where they had like 6 outages within 6 months. And you don't hear that with any other chain, not that much, right? So that was a concern. That is still a concern. So they need to fix that. And I'm not a developer, so I can't tell you why it happens, but certain people like Charles Hoskinson and Joseph Lubin, they have pointed out that the way Solana is built may not be sustainable. They have said that, and it could be due to their architecture, it could be due to some other things, but so we have to see. But I do still believe that Solana does have many great things for it, so it's not going to go away. And if they could fix that, I think they'll be good. And one other thing about Solana is there is a high number of coins held by the VCs. Okay, we know that. I mean, in 2021, all we ever heard of was Sam Bankman-Fried buying more Solana. He really is all out Him and FTX and Alameda are really, really into Solana and Solana dApps. But other VCs are also very well invested in Solana. We had Chamath on his All-In podcast and his buddies, joking around how they were going to sell $1 billion of the Solana or whatever they were joking around. But the honest truth is a lot of them do hold $1 billion of the Solana, right? And I do think that at the beginning or end of 2021 and beginning of 2022, we saw this sell-off. And guess what? Solana sold off kind of the most within the top 10. And I do believe because the VCs, doing what they do, following Wall Street, following, hedge funds, they wanted more risk-off assets rather than risk-on assets such as crypto and Solana. So I do believe they were sold off more than some of the other crypto. But now things are looking better, and Solana is starting to come back up and recovering a little bit faster too. So, so there's a couple things that worried me, and still kind of a little bit worries me about Solana, but I think they'll get through it.
What besides Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, what are 2 or 3 other altcoins that, not even talking about investing wise, just that interest you, that you're watching, that you think, I want to keep my eyes on?
Well, I've been talking a lot about Tera on my channel, and I do think everyone should keep their eye on Tera. Even Bitcoin maxis are looking at Tera. And that's because Do Kwon, one of the co-founders, is doing something that no one has done before. And it's very, very, very interesting. Now, we have heard of projects that have, that have conducted ICO. And back in the day, ICOs were done in Bitcoin, right? So we do have projects that have Bitcoin in their treasury. EOS has a ton of Bitcoin. Lisk, I remember, have a ton of Bitcoin, right? But Do Kwon is doing something different. First of all, he's buying Bitcoin at spot exchanges on Binance. So that's very different. He's not doing it secretly behind the scenes or the OTC market. He wants to actually help Bitcoin, right? He recently did an interview where he considers Tera and his ecosystem a layer 2 for Bitcoin. And that actually confused some people. But ultimately, he wants to help Bitcoin. And he's buying Bitcoin on the spot market, utilizing that to kind of back UST, which is the stable coin from Tera. And it's a very unique setup with UST and Tera. You have to burn Luna tokens, Luna coins to mint more UST. And UST is being minted, crazy left and right, because it's the de facto stable coin now, and majority of the DEX is out there. And there's bridges to basically all the chains, to Avalanche, to Ethereum, and to Cosmos, to many other chains out there. So UST's usage is growing by leaps and bounds. And I would not be surprised. It would be at the same level as, say, USDC, which is about 4x higher in terms of market cap. I would not be surprised they catch up by this year. And if you think about that, if the UST minted goes up by 4x, what do you think that's going to do to Luna's price? So that is a very, very interesting project. And the fact that they're buying Bitcoin, and Do wants to be the second largest holder of Bitcoin right behind Satoshi, which he can actually make happen. Okay, think about that. He could actually be holding more Bitcoin than Michael Saylor in the future. That is positive overall, not only for Tera, but also for Bitcoin. And this is why Bitcoin maxis also starting to love Tera. They just, Bitcoin maxis hate altcoins, but they can't help but love Tera for buying so much Bitcoins, right? So I would say everyone should take a look at Tera. And then behind Tera, everyone should, I don't know, there's a few that I really like. I think if you look at like Avalanche, Avalanche is interesting because they're following the same footsteps as Solana right now. They're following the same footsteps as Solana in 2021. Okay, meaning that they are growing by leaps and bounds. They have a ton of grants. They have a lot of bridges now with other several big chains, right? Recent with even Harmony because of DeFi Kingdoms. It's a very unusual bridge, but it's there. But they also have a bridge to Tera. They also have a bridge to They have a bridge to Ethereum. I mean, they're EVM compatible. So Avalanche also is growing by leaps and bounds. And I think there's a lot of exciting things happening there. So I would say another one definitely to watch out for is Avalanche.
What about Kadena? Do you consider that a viable ETH alternative? I know a lot of times you talk about Kadena.
Yeah, I do, but I have to recognize that they are still very early. Very
Tell us
early.
what makes Kadena special.
Well, they use the Bitcoin consensus mechanism. So they use their proof of work. So they're actually proof of work, but they figured out how to scale proof of work. They're not using Lightning Network or anything like that. I believe they call it chain web. So they take one chain, which they know can scale, not very fast, and then they pair it with a second chain, and then a third chain, and then a fourth chain. So they took 27 chains and connected them together. And because of that, their throughput is infinite, basically. I think theoretical throughput is 700,000 transactions per second or something. Though, I mean, we're nowhere close to testing that. No one is, okay? Not even Solana. No one is using that much throughput. But, they argue that because they're using proof of work, right, which is the most secure consensus mechanism out there since Bitcoin uses it, and they have figured out how to scale it, there's no need to go to proof of stake, right? So they have the best of both worlds. Now, I think Kadena, I think they have some FUD because people don't like the fact that the founders actually came out of JP Morgan because they were working for JP Morgan and they helped develop the very first JP Morgan chain. But I think that's a good thing because they both have experience, not only within the financial industry. One of them also has some regulatory experience with SEC, but they also know what it takes to build out a chain. So they left JP Morgan, they built their own chain, right? And they have the experience, they have the backing, the knowledge, well-seasoned guys, and they have a lot of good backers too. And one of the advisors on the team, I believe, I forgot his name, is the, I think he's the inventor of, I should know this. I think he's the inventor of, I don't think it's cryptographic signatures, but yeah, something. I'll have to look that up. I'm sorry. But yeah, anyone that's interested, definitely look them up. But they have some really fantastic advisors on the team too. So I really like them, but like I said, it's early because they don't have a whole lot within their ecosystem. Like if you look at wallets, not many wallets support KDA right now. It's growing, but it's hard to find wallets that support them, and it's hard to find them on exchanges, although they just did get listed on Binance, which is a great thing, but other American exchanges don't have them listed, right? In terms of DeFi, it's pretty much non-existent. There's one project called CatX that's a work in progress that's going to open up their deck soon, and there will be liquidity pools. So they'll start racking up TVL, but it's early. However, if they continue on their path, they had a really good run in 2021, came back down. But if they continue on, I think they're going to be very promising for the future.
What are your thoughts on ApeCoin? They set a precedent. They had the most popular non-fungible NFT community, and they said, let's create a coin, make things fungible. And I guess, Ape, the Bored Apes have a game in development that might use the coin. And but what are your thoughts on ApeCoin?
I think the parent company, I think it's Yuga Labs, I think they have thought it through, and they're utilizing their fame, and I think they're doing it brilliantly if you think about it. So when they came out with Bored Ape Yacht Club, obviously it blew up, right? Then they decided, hey, how do we make more money? Well, let's create more NFTs, right? So then they spawned Mutant Ape Yacht Club, which they airdropped to the Bored Ape holders, but there's also more that was released, right? And then they're like, how do we make more money? Let's drop more NFTs. So then they dropped the Kennel Club one, right? Now they're thinking, okay, we already have 3 very popular NFT collections. How do we go? How do we grow? Do we come out with more NFTs? Maybe, but what's better? Let's come out with a coin. So that's exactly what they did. They came out with ApeCoin. So they're going to use it as a war chest to grow their initiatives to do other things like gaming, metaverse, and stuff like that, right? But it's a really natural, if you think about it, it's a natural evolution, and they're really smart for just like utilizing what they have, their attention, their fame, and their user base, I guess, and just they're adding more value to them, yet it costs them nothing. It costs them nothing to come out with a whole, ApeCoin and just distribute out airdrop. It's making their existing holders even wealthier, right? And they have a huge base now because a ton of those tokens will never be sold because the holders are very happy with them. So they're really smart. I think they're really smart. And let's not forget, they also bought the rights to CryptoPunks and Meebits from Larva Labs, right? CryptoPunks arguably is the most successful, or it used to be the most successful NFT collection, but now you could argue it's Bored Apes, right? But it doesn't matter because Yuga Lab owns everything now. They own the whole thing, all the top 5 most recognizable NFTs they hold. And now they have a coin that's doing relatively well. I mean, it started really high, but it found a base around $9, $10. Now it's starting to pick up again. And they're going to utilize that. And, they're in a really good spot. So the thing is, I like them because unlike a lot of hyped up coins that were like meme coins, right? People aped into them and jumped into them, but those coins had no purpose. With ApeCoin, I see that they will utilize it for something. They will utilize it as a DAO and a treasury to build out the next, crazy metaverse where all these NFT collections will have their own avatars and you could actually do something with their NFTs, right? So they're building utility and making holders even wealthier. So, I mean, that's a positives all around. So I like ApeCoin.
My final question, DeFi Kingdom or Axie Infinity?
Ooh, you know what? I've never played Axie Infinity, so I'm biased. I have staked in DeFi Kingdoms and I still continue to stake in them. I would say from what I know, if you're actually playing a game, if you like playing games, Axie would be more fun to play. It's more like a game. And they've changed a few things up. Their in-game currency SLP was, the economics of it was bad, so they had to change it up. They're coming up with a new version of Axie where you don't have to purchase Axies to start playing. You'll be given free ones, right? So I think that's going to be a big thing. And I know Axie has a huge base in Southeast Asia, and many people just play Axie for their income, for their main source of income. That's how much it was generating before. But as for DeFi Kingdoms, I'm excited about them. That was actually one of my regrets for 2021. I believe the team reached out to me very early on, and then they kept, shilling me on DeFi Kingdoms, saying, "Hey, look at us, look at us, look at us," right? I'm like, okay, not too fond of the graphics. Didn't really get what they were trying to do, right? And then it blew up, and now they're staking within DeFi Kingdoms, one of the most profitable things you could do. But they obviously expanded recently from Harmony to their own chain, Cristobal, which is on Avalanche. So there's a nice connection there. There's a dual setup. I don't think I've seen any other chain do this or any other dApp do this, where they're across 2 different chains, and 2 different realms. And as for gameplay, I hear people talk about DeFi Kingdoms, but I just don't think it's that as fun as, say, playing Axie. But there is a game element to it besides just DeFi and staking. But I never partake, so I can't comment on that. But I'm biased. I would go with DeFi Kingdoms.
Perfect. Aaron, final questions?
That was it.
I love it. George, again, thank you so much. The links for George, CryptosRUs are down below in the video description. Final thoughts on altcoins for the Altcoin Daily Army.
Altcoins are good. Altcoins are good, but sometimes they could be bad. So I would still say be diversified. A lot of altcoiners don't hold any Bitcoin in their portfolio. I would say, yeah, still hold on a little bit of Bitcoin. Because altcoins and Bitcoins, they serve different purposes. When altcoins go up, you feel like a genius, right? But when the market comes down and altcoins crashes, you feel like an idiot too. So make sure you're a little bit diversified. Get some Bitcoin in your portfolio. Otherwise, just continue to hold on and continue to DCA.
Love it.
Thanks, George.
Take care, guys.